Hello, guys, and welcome to tonight's webinar. And tonight is actually going to be our last Tuesday webinar in the same format that we have been doing it. But I'm excited to go through a bit of the process with you guys in terms of all the things we've kind of put together through all the past webinars as well, and give you a run through of a lot of the tips and strategies we've come through in the past webinars over the past couple of years. And I think that's going to be really helpful. And then what we're also going to do is focus in on one of the biggest challenges that sellers do face as well. So you can see a lot of you guys are already here. Hello, Marion and Scott and C. Lawrence, Maria, Colby, Ivan, Ricky, Rich, Karim, Vay, Christian, Mark. Nice to see all of you guys here and excited to get into this one. So just to give you some insight into what will be happening from next week with the structure change from the current one, is from next week, what's actually going to happen is we're going to go into a structure where you have a webinar on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And on each of those days, a webinar is run in accordance with every section or every course included in the program. So on Mondays will be an actual start subject that is held in the Monday webinar. On Tuesday will be on find. On Wednesday will be on build. Thursday launch, and Friday grow. So this way you can actually start joining the webinars that are most relevant to you and what you're actually busy with at your stage. So I think that's going to be a great new format as well. And I'm looking forward to this. We're also going to have some of the newer coaches training in these sessions. So one of the big things that you guys have asked for over the past webinars is actually to get more case study, to get more different sellers and coaches involved in these webinars, and you're going to have just that as well. So they're going to be sharing where they're at and this, the small nuances they have to deal with. And I think you guys can relate a lot to those, and you're going to learn a lot from a big pool of different sellers as well. And hello, all of those who just joined us: Fatima, Paul, Jennifer, Alexander, and Tamra. Thank you guys for joining. And let's get into this. So the first thing we're going to touch on is actually just one of the biggest challenges that sellers do face. I was struggling to come up with the best topic to move into coming off last week's branding session. And if you are struggling with branding, choosing your brand name, designing your brand name, I really recommend checking last week's session, the Tuesday recording. That's going to help you a lot there. But I was struggling to come up with what to end off these Tuesday webinars with. And I really think one of the biggest challenges you will face is going to be staying in stock and managing cash flow and restocking your goods. Because if you run out of inventory for products, you lose a lot of ranking. You lose a lot in that process. So that's the topic I want to end off with, focusing on. And then towards the end of this webinar, from around halfway through, we're going to run over all the tips and strategies we've gathered over the past couple of years, just an overview of things to look out for at each stage of the process as you go through this venture. So I'm going to share my screen, and please do let me know in the chat box when you guys can see this. You guys should see it in 2 seconds here. And you should actually see a Google slide, and it will say one of the, okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Dominic and Mark. So let's get moving with this. So one of the biggest challenges that you are going to face a bit down the line, but this is very important from the outset to plan for, is actually inventory management, staying in stock, and planning your cash flow as well. So in terms of this, one of the most important things that you want to be able to calculate is your reorder point. So at which point in terms of units or days should I be reordering my stock? And one easy way to work this out is to work out your average daily sales. So let's say that we sell on average 10 units per day. And then we're going to work out our lead time. This is the second piece of info that we need. And in our case here, manufacturing and shipping takes us 52 days. So our lead time until we're in the warehouse is 52 days. So now to calculate our last possible reorder point, how we would do this is simply by saying, how many do we sell per day times the number of days that that lead time is going to incur. So here we can see when there's 520 units left, that's 52 days times 10 units a day. That's when we need to actually reorder. That's our last possible reorder point. So let's say, for example, we started with 1,000 units. This means that once we've sold 480, after 48 days, let's say, that's when we need to actually place our next reorder if we're going to stay in stock. If we place it after that, which is what a lot of sellers end up doing accidentally, we're actually going to run out of stock. And there's a lot of negative consequences that are caused by that. For example, losing ranking, for example, having to relaunch your product. So there's a lot of things you lose if you run out of stock. And that's why this is so critical, and it needs to be planned from the very beginning. So what we're going to go into next is based on this, which is quite an easy equation, which you should implement. We're also going to face another problem off of this, and that is cash flow, which can come into play. And that's what we're going to discuss now, based on the reorder and how you should plan your cash flow to fund a reorder before you've sold all of your units and regained all of your initial capital. So why cash flow and cash flow management is so important? If you look at this diagram here, and if you imagine this tank over here being your initial capital, if we purchase our first order of inventory, let's say 2,000 units here, then we start selling those units. And let's say there's 1,000 left, and that's our reorder point. This is when we have to reorder to stay in stock. Well, then what happens is we have to now place our order and pay for at least 30% of order 2 right now and 70% of it a bit later. But we do have to outlay capital here for this next big order, which may, remember, be even bigger than 2,000 units. If your product starts doing really well, you might decide to scale up. And so at this point, when you put more capital into the next order, you haven't completely sold out that initial 2,000, and you're paying a lot into ads. So a lot is probably going into ads and paying for ranking at this point. And that creates a cash flow pinch here. And so this is where cash flow planning comes in and is very, very important. So most sellers are not going to plan for that reorder, at least not in time. They generally forget to plan this and to stay in stock, often ordering way too late. The second thing is they don't plan capital if there's a cash flow pinch at this point. So this is very important in addition to promoting your product on order 1. So what's the issue here? The issue is also that by the time that you need to do this reorder, you haven't recouped all the funds from here, and a lot's going out onto ads here. So if we look at some solutions to this, here's what you can do to make sure you can plan for this problem as best as possible. One is to work this into your initial capital calculation, and don't spend everything on order 1. Retain a little bit for order 2 in case this happens. And based on your numbers, for example, the quantity of units you're doing here, the cost of those units, only you will know what is going to be be relevant to your exact reorder here and what you feel you should keep aside. But do keep in mind that 30% is going to need to be paid pretty much immediately, and it's before you've recouped a lot of your costs. The second big option is to negotiate extended payment terms on the second order with your supplier. So you can say to them, could we pay you less upfront and more later, or could we pay you the same amount, but can we pay you the 70% if it's a 30/70 payment term? Can we pay you the 70%, a month later than usual because we're doing a bigger order with you? So negotiating payment terms can be great for this. The other option is to spend on this first order, make sure that product proves itself, and then you can consider things like partnering or increasing income or invoice factoring, or very lastly, lending as well. So those are the things you can look into. And in some cases here, you may well be able to fund that 30% of what you've already recouped. In some cases, you won't. So this video is simply to give you all of the options, so you're ready for this. And this is a less spoken about issue that does come up. It's just meant to empower you to overcome the situation if it does happen. So here are a couple funding options that you can look at. And these are also in terms of our personal preference. Remember, especially with lending, that has a lot of risks involved. So make sure you very carefully evaluate that type of thing. Number one is keep capital aside for that reorder. So right now you may be researching product one. And if you have, for example, let's say $5,000 to spend, make sure that you're not doing something like, let's say the inventory cost to you is $2,500. Don't look to do two products. Rather stick to one and make sure you have that hedge for cash flow pinches so you can scale that one product. So that's an example of planning your capital for that reorder instead of going too wide too quickly. Number two, the second funding option is you could take on a silent partner. Perhaps you're in a position now where you're ready to do the work. You have a lot of time. You're motivated to do this, but you lack capital. Well, in that sense, this could be a really good option for you, where you find a silent partner, a financial partner who funds while you do work, and you find a profit split there. Three is you could increase your income. I know a lot of sellers are already doing this. It could be through online work. It could be through offline work. It could be through Uber. It could be through Airbnb. It could be through a number of different things. Arbitrage, eBay. There's a lot of different things you can do here. Apply for invoice factoring. So this one's quite complex. We'll get a little more into this. You could use crowdfunding. So this is more specific and relates more to invention or really innovation type products, but it's something to keep an eye on. You could look at Amazon lending. If you're already set up and established, you do need to already be selling. And this is by invite only. Then you could look at a loan from friends, family, people who want to back you on this, or take a small business loan last. Then we also have a link here about the 6 funding options. And really important, before increasing capital, whether it's by your own hand or outside investment, there are some key principles that you need to keep in mind. One is you must make sure that product is selling really well. It needs additional investment. If the product's not selling well, there's no point in going to look for additional capital. You must require a large reorder. Remember, if you can fund this and plan capital into it, then that's great. Or maybe you choose to scale slowly. That's fine. But it must require a large reorder, which you cannot yourself fund. Make sure you're 100% certain there is no way for you to actually scale the business by yourself with the current ROI that you have. So in a little more detail, some of these options, if you take on a silent partner, in this scenario, you're going to give up a bit of your business, but at a low risk. So you're going to need to find someone with a lot of money, but little time, present this opportunity to them. And you could be, for example, 50-50 partners. You do all of the work and they fund the business. And then you split the profits based on what you both feel is fair. 50-50 is a good deal based on the financial risk they're taking and all the work that you're putting in. I've heard of even 70-30 splits, things like that. The seller's way, the worker's way, which is excellent, but that is a bit high on that end, in my opinion. So you're going to have to just negotiate with this, but it is an option. You could also increase your income. So we went over a couple of these. You could do extra work. You could do extra online jobs, Upwork, Fiverr, extra offline jobs, for example, with Uber. You could do retail or online arbitrage. This is a really common one for building up capital before private label. You could sell stuff that is just lying around at the house, and you could rent out or Airbnb a house or a room, of course, if you have that facility available. And then invoice factoring. This one is really interesting, and I think it is a very good one to look into. No matter where you are with your business currently, it's worth having a look at. So to explain this a little bit, how this works, you're going to actually use a third party and they buy your invoices. So they're going to buy your Amazon invoices. In other words, what Amazon needs to disperse to you, and they're going to pay you that cash today. You're going to collect cash daily instead of waiting a minimum of 2 weeks for that Amazon payment. And then you're going to leverage your quicker received funds by ordering the next batch of inventory sooner. You must understand, though, when that factor, and that's the name for the company who buys your invoices, the factor will buy the invoice at around 1 to 3% discounted rate. That's the fee they take for doing this for you. The factor will also withhold about 10 or 20% of the total payment just as protection. So, and this is against canceled or failed orders. So, for example, if a Amazon customer perhaps returns the item or cancels their order, anything like that, before that 2-week period has lapsed, then of course this factor has this little bit of insurance on which to remove that amount. So they're not going to pay you the full amount immediately. They keep a little bit of insurance there. And then as soon as the 2 weeks has lapsed and they know what has gone through, they pay you that remainder. You can learn about Payability invoice factoring here. So if you're interested in this, do check out Payability. They're the ones who do this, and it is very interesting in terms of basically receiving your accounts far faster. And this will help you manage cash flow. And then crowdfunding. I'm going to go through this quickly because it is a bit different. But this is when you develop a newer idea. Members often have newer ideas, and these are great. And crowdfunding can be an excellent way to fund this type of innovation. You're going to calculate the needed funding for your idea. You're going to choose a crowdfunding platform, and these differ a little bit. So fixed funding, for example, on Kickstarter, is when you have to meet your funding goal. Let's say your funding goal is $100,000. You have to hit that funding goal, or everyone is reimbursed and there's no funding of your idea. Flexible funding, though, is different. And this is, for example, with Indiegogo. And this is where basically, let's say your funding goal is $100,000. If you raise $80,000 here, it will still go through. So you can still use that funding towards actually manufacturing your product and bringing that to life. So that's how fixed and flexible differ. So how that works is you're actually marketing your idea as a pre-sale on a crowdfunding website, for example, on Kickstarter. You're saying to individuals who would be interested in your product that you're giving them a discounted rate, a pre-sale on the products. And if their funding of your idea meets what you're looking for in terms of your funding goal, you actually go to manufacture that product and ship that product, first of all, to all of those who invested and backed you through the crowdfunding platform. So you deliver all those pre-sale items, and then you continue from there. There's actually, what's it called? Amazon, what do they call it? There is a name for it whereby Kickstarter products actually move into the Amazon platform as well. So those two are integrated in a way. And that's how you can see that this is a way to fund new ideas as well. Maybe you're looking to do private label, but you also have a big innovative idea on the side. And this can help with being able to actually bring that to life. And here, so you would receive those pre-orders from early adopters. And then if you meet that goal, you actually start to manufacture and ship. Amazon Lending. So this one is actually by invite only. It offers short-term business loans, usually 6 to 12 months. And these come up in your seller account. And they range from about $1,000 to $750,000. It selects sellers based on certain metrics. So it's all algorithm driven again, and it will need some type of sales history. So improve your cash flow management long-term by simply forecasting regularly. Like we just looked at the number of units we're selling on average per day and the lead time. Do that regularly. That's going to help you be able to stay in stock based on reorder dates and the capital you have available. Extend your payment terms with suppliers if they're open to this. This you should be doing regardless. Very important. And then collect cash from sales as early as possible. So invoice factoring can help with this. Analyze expenditure and create cash flow statements so that you can see exactly where you are. So this is going to help you in general. It's going to help you reduce the need to launch twice. And that might not seem like a big deal, but launching is the least profitable phase of any successful product. It's very important that you try and avoid having to launch a product twice. It ensures you retain all that hard-earned keyword ranking that you're building up, even perhaps as you're running PPC and making sales for certain keywords. Your organic listing is moving up those ranks. It's starting to get a good organic ranking and make sales and income. It ensures you retain those. You're also going to avoid going too wide on that product line too early. Don't go with 2 products. Stick with one, scale that. This is really going to help you be able to stay in inventory and keep pushing forward until you get to a level where there's a lot of cash, a lot of capital available. You're in a good cash flow position. Then you can look to product 2. And just scale your business overall effectively. And so this was the main issue or the main challenge I wanted to go through with you guys. I know some of you are just starting, but this is really important just to plan for and know that these options are available for you as well. I'm going to jump back there now, see if there's any questions on this so far. And we can stop the share. Okay. Yes. Yes. So Ivan asks, Dan, can you do a webinar on PPC and the new innovations, dynamic bidding, and product targeting? Yes, Ivan. So we actually did do one on product targeting specifically, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago in this webinar. We did product targeting. If you want to have a look at that, I did see dynamic bidding and these new features. So we can definitely look at creating some content on this. Yes, and Ivan asks a good question here. Dan, what is the best way to calculate initial order quantity? Do you base it on competitors' sales? So, Ivan, I think there's sort of a minimum. I wouldn't go with less than 500. Uh, based on what we're looking for with a certain number of sales per day, based on what we're looking for, if you were to go less than 500, you're probably not going to be able to reorder in time. You're going to probably run out of stock. So I'd say that's a baseline. In the US, in competitive markets, you often want to look at around 1,000 units. But as you say, this depends very much on how are competitors selling, how are your lower review competitors selling specifically. And if they're selling, for example, 500 a month, then you know, okay, I need to order more than that because I need to launch and then I need time in order to reorder. So you can base it on this. I would say work out you're going to need a good amount of time to first of all launch the product, and then you need to add on your lead time, whatever that is specifically for you, and that's going to give you a time frame in which you need uh, inventory for that time frame. Let's say it's 2 months and you sell 10 a day. If you sell 10 a day for 2 months, you need 600 units. So that's how I would work this out. And Alexander asks, Dan, would you recommend to let someone check the second batch of inventory before the manufacturer ships it? Yes, Alex, this is going to be based on your relationship with them. On the second order, I would probably still do an inspection. And then if that inventory is also good, so order one and order two were both good, then from the next order, I may not do an inspection if I trust that supplier. Generally, if a supplier is producing good products, you'll notice off the bat, and then they learn to just you'll learn to trust them, and you can remove that inspection part of the process and rather get into the warehouse quicker, and of course save a little bit of investment there as well, bring down the product cost a little bit. Okay, and then I just wanted to run through a bit of the tips and strategies we've learned over the past few years of doing these webinars. It seems crazy, but let me know when you guys do see my screen again. It should pop up for you in 2 seconds. And you'll see the same, very similar layouts. And thank you, Marion. Okay, and I'll jump back here for questions as well in straight after this. Okay, so here, what we're going to go through is just some of the tips and strategies we've done in the past couple of webinars. Just random things from throughout the process and things to look for as you go through this. One is in the last session, we actually did branding. And be sure if you're stuck on that to use Namelix, LogoJoy, NameChecker, and then your trademark office. And then when it comes to product research, I wanted to share a couple tools I do use on Amazon as well, in conjunction with Amazar, which we have more in-depth training on. But I want to show you this and how to use Amazon's autocomplete, how to use some of the Chrome extensions on Amazon as well. Aim for higher priced items. This is something we've gone in depth with and is key to increasing your margin as you build up a product. Get feedback on your ideas. This is also very important. Just make sure, for example, you aren't differentiating just for the sake of differentiating. You're actually adding value to the product and you actually developing a product your customer is going to choose. Choose your first product based on differentiation and profit. So what this point is based on is you might get to a point where you have, for example, 10 products and you're feeling like all of these are good. like all of my ideas are good. Which one do I choose? And this point, and we're going to go in detail with each, this one tells you how to take those 10 and be almost 100% sure on which one you should move forward with, or at least narrow that 10 down to, say, 2 products. Know your numbers and work out your break-even points. Break-even points are great as well. This will give you a lot of confidence when choosing that first product. Build reviews into your products. This is key as well, as we have to go more organic now. It's almost the tortoise wins the race now with Amazon. The gray tactics, all of that is gone. We've seen how Amazon reacts to that. It's not worth doing that. So this is key as well with over delivery. Keep it simple, scale, and plan your cash flow. And we went in depth with this now, but do keep it simple. And use the listing worksheet. We've gone over this and done revisions of this multiple times. That's really going to help you create a marketable, readable, keyword-infused listing. Keep it organic and build a brand. Whether you stem that from the first product you do or the second, doesn't matter, but keep it organic and long-term aim to build out a little brand of related products, a small niche which you aim to dominate. That's what you're trying to build long term. So with branding, we touched on this last week, so I'm going to run over this really quickly. You can use these tools: Namelix, LogoJoy, NameChecker, and USPTO. Then with product research, you can use Amazon's autocomplete. You can use the Helium 10 Chrome extension, the Keeper Chrome extension, Jungle Scout or other Chrome extensions of this sort, and then of course Amazon. And I wanted to show you this on screen here. So on Amazon, here's one of the things that you can also implement is using an adjective for any short term at the beginning of whatever you do type in. And let's say we typed in small, for example. This will also bring us new ideas. If you're completely open with no niche idea, you're just open to finding high potential products, using adjectives at the beginning or starting with some type of phrase can also bring you really cool ideas. So you can see the top one here is actually small USB hub for PC. And that's this niche here. And just let this load up. There we go. So the first tool that I do want to show you here, let me bring this up. Okay. So over here, you'll see above, if I make this a bit bigger, above each listing, you can see a little bit of data here, and it's giving us actually the BSR of this product and the category. It's also giving us the niche down category, and it's giving us whether it's FBA, how many sellers, and we can calculate the fees. So what this little tool is Helium 10. So that's a Chrome extension. It's totally free. You can sign up with their site, helium10.com, for free. Don't pay for it. But this is going to give you, at the free membership level, this little Chrome extension, which pulls this up on top of listings and just makes that evaluation on Amazon, that sort of quick check, really easy. We can quickly establish these are low BSR products. The next that I want to show you is on each listing. So let's say that this product sells very well right now. We might want to know the actual seasonality of it. How does it sell in winter versus summer? This is a bad example for that. But how does it sell throughout the year? And we can use this Keeper for this function. And what you want to do is install the Keeper Chrome extension. Just the same, you can see it up here. And that you can also download for free. And that's going to sit up here and load on every listing just beneath the listing and just above your sponsored products related to this item. And if we click on all over here in the range, you can see we can choose a date range here to look at. That's the one we want to look at for seasonality, or let's say 1 year might be better. And it's going to allow us to look at the sales rank over the year. So you can see a bit of a spike there. Even at the top of the spike, this product's at like 200 BSR, which is incredibly low. So throughout the entire year, it sells very, very well. You can see that here. So that's how you guys can use this tool. It also gives you price data. So you can see on that top line in blue, and the sales rank is in green. The other tool I would use is one type of Chrome extension. The choice is yours, but you have Jungle Scout Pro. You also have one called AMZ Scout Pro. AMZ Scout Pro is free for a very lengthy trial period. There's also Unicorn Smasher, which is free. And then you have Jungle Scout Pro, which is the paid one. And if we click on this, it's actually going to bring up information on all the products on this page we are looking at. So you can see it brings up our reviews, it brings up the daily sales and the monthly sales. The most important columns is you want to look at in the top 10 sellers, the dark highlighted ones here, which of those have reasonably low reviews. So when we enter this market and we add a low review number, is this market going to accept our product with a low review number, or is everyone only buying those high review numbers? And here you can see this one has 18 reviews and they're doing 300 sales a month. So they're selling at least 10 per day. The same is this one has 68 reviews and we're selling 1,600 a month. So this can help you establish whether or not there's a good entry point here. And it gives you quick snapshot data, which is important. So if you are looking on Amazon for product ideas, if you're vetting things on the Amazon marketplace, these tools are very effective in establishing quite quickly all these different data points. Then what you could do is move this product into a Mazal for that in-depth checking different keywords, checking Google Trends, getting median reviews, getting all of those with an in-depth tool like a Mazal is excellent as well. But these are just additions you can also use on Amazon itself. And if we jump back here, just check you guys can still see this. Okay, I'm going to be right with your questions. Let me run through the last ones here. So the next point is premium. Aim for a higher priced item. This is key. This is a very important one. Whether you're selling in the US or Europe, very important for Europe as well. Most are running for the bottom on Amazon. You'll notice this where sellers are lowering their price and they just keep dropping. And the issue there is they're forgetting about a big segment of the market. And those are individuals who are premium buyers. They buy the best in the market always. And one of their biggest indicators of the highest quality product is price. And that's the option they choose. So make sure you're choosing a product that lends itself to that. Some don't. For example, basic products don't lend themselves to this. Stationery wouldn't lend itself to this, but specific, like we looked at now, USB plug-in type things, those would more lend themselves towards higher price points. So make sure you are looking at positioning yourself as a premium option because that segment of the market is quite untapped. This also increases your margin quite significantly. And it might seem strange in this sense because, it's just a percentage. But the key is that if a product that sells at, say, $25, or let's say a product that sells at $35, a product that sells at $35 can quite easily also sell at $45. But a product that sells at $9 may even have a tough time selling at $13. So the correlation's not exact there, and that's where you can increase your margin quite drastically with a premium price product where people are willing to pay more for the best in the market, because your cost hasn't changed, but you have more flex with that price. And this just goes over that exact point. And price is a big indicator of quality. Even think when you go to buy maybe you go to buy a gift for someone, or there are specific markets where you are actually going to look at price as the indicator to make your final decision on that purchase. This one. So get feedback on what you're planning to create. This is very important. So get feedback from all the sellers in the Facebook group. You can post, for example, your AmazeOut dashboard of that product. You can post that in the Facebook group without the product name. So you're not giving away your product idea, but you're posting the data associated with that idea. Get feedback on that. Run your actual idea by family, friends, people you trust, in a way that they don't know that if you can possibly run it by them after showing them the front page of your competitors. Ask them about the front page. Ask them which one they would choose and why. Get information like that from a customer's point of view. That's really important. And they will reveal to you why they would choose certain ones. That's also going to help you establish if you're in a premium priceable market, and it's going to tell you how to differentiate that product, and then run your idea by them, and see their reaction. See if they think you're differentiating for the sake of differentiating, or if what you're trying to do is actually in line with the product and adding value. So it's going to give you that real world insight, and it reduces your risk a lot. Often you need an extra pair of eyes on this type of thing. It's also going to help you obviously improve that offering. And then final product choice. So this has come up a lot, and this is going to help. This is really going to help you when you do get stuck in this position. You want to choose your first product based on two main things. Number one is differentiation. And I know you have heard that 1,000 times, but can you differentiate this in a way that's valued by your customer? Some products you can't, and that's fine, but some you can, and that's key. Can you differentiate this in a way that is relevant to your product? Maybe what you're adding is just another main product and it doesn't make sense. Make sure it's something that's just adding value to the main offering. The second big thing that you're going to base your final product decision on, so this is when you're narrowing down from, say, 10 ideas or 5 ideas down to 1. The second is profit. So after directly contacting suppliers, which products have the highest profit margin? This is great for staying emotional. This is what will, in most cases, determine the first product that you go with. So if you're sitting in a position where you are stuck because you think all of your 5 top ideas are great and you don't know which one to choose, you need to go and contact suppliers. You need to go and understand the exact cost, because you cannot run that off estimations. Only by actually contacting suppliers and getting the real cost of the product with logo, with the packaging you want, with the accessory you want, with the shipping. Only in that case can you actually determine which of those ideas is best. And I know that's a lot of work, but that is what's going to reduce the confusion on which product is best. So between those two, which one you can add the most value to, stand out on the marketplace with, and just jump off that main page because you've added that value. And 2, the profit margin, of course. So leading into this one, know your numbers. So know your numbers in terms of what is your sell price realistically? What's your manufacturing per unit, your shipping per unit, your FBA fees per unit, and finally, of course, your profit per unit. On this one, FBA fees, don't forget about that packaging weight. Amazon always adds that packaging weight to products. So, for example, if you missed this one, if you're aiming to have a product under 2 pounds in the US, if you want a product in the 2-pound FBA bracket, you need to find an actual product with a weight of less than 1.75 pounds, because Amazon's always going to add 0.25 pounds packaging weight to that product. So don't make the mistake of going with, say, 1.9 pounds and getting bumped just into the next bracket. That was another key thing we went over as well here. Your break-even point. So this one is great for reducing anxiety with the first order, but take your sell price per unit, deduct that profit per unit, and you actually have your break-even point. In other words, how much it costs you to manufacture, ship, and the FBA fees per unit. And let's say we were to our aim is to sell at $30 and our break even is at $17. That gives us room. We know that if it doesn't sell at our price for whatever reason, if we made a mistake, we can bring that price all the way back to around $17, much lower than the rest of the market, and sell out at break even, make back that capital, and begin with product number 2. Very important thing to work out as well. Reviews. So this has become a much bigger challenge recently, and I think this is right, the way they've done this, because what ends up happening is the best products will win. So it's all fully organic now. If you deliver the best products with the best service and you follow up with your customers and you're not begging for reviews and you're over delivering, you're going to win that race, because the other sellers will not do that. So specifically new products coming onto the market, there's new products coming onto the market every day. Those are starting from scratch, purely organic, and the tortoise will win this race. If you rush, if you incentivize, they will take all those reviews and they're probably going to stop that listing's ability to get reviews as well. So keep this organic. You're going to build reviews into your product, and you're going to do that by over delivering with additional value and using an insert card, not to ask for a review, but to deliver more value. You're going to use a personal email sequence. It doesn't matter that a lot have opted out of this. This works really well. Use the one in the course. It definitely does have conversion. This helps a lot. Don't ask for reviews at the outset. And consider over-delivering with physical editions as well. So yes, we're doing ebooks or what have you, but consider putting something extra in that product. If you can work it into your costs, surprising the customer delight is what's going to end up making people want to go leave you a review. Think of the last time you left a review. What made you leave a review? Maybe you never leave reviews. Think about what would make that customer leave a review. You really have to go far with this. You have to make it a good experience. So build those in. Then keep it really simple. Don't make it complex. The whole process, don't make it complex. You can see if we're to get from point A to point B, let's do it simply. So when you select suppliers, keep it simple. If it's your first ever interaction with suppliers, try do the shipping with them as well. Try use one supplier for as much as possible. So if you can have one supplier, bundle your product, package your product, and ship your product, you're keeping it simple. You're keeping it scalable. Don't have things all over the place, because when it comes to scaling, it's going to be complex. Inventory management, we touched on this. Plan your reorders. It's going to save you a lot. Planning your cash flow, and don't go too wide too early. Stick with one rather than go with two. and negotiate those payment terms. Really important. That's going to help you as well. With building your listing, use that listing worksheet. It's also in the files section of the Facebook group. We just updated this. This is going to help you actually understand your customers' needs and pain points. What are you addressing? What goals are you helping them reach? What of their problems are you fixing? It's going to help you understand their doubts. Why don't they buy this product? What is it that's wrong with the products? It's also going to help you build all of your copy. So your title, your bullets, your description, while making all of that readable, marketable, and keyword optimized. So you rank for your keywords and your PPC ads populate later as well. And overall, just build a brand. So whether this stems from product 1 or 2 or 3, that doesn't matter. Do get moving now. But in the long run, just aim to build a brand of related products. Keep it organic. Focus on your customers. Learn from those customers. Register your trademark once you know what it is you're selling and apply for brand registry. Over deliver, give to your customer, and then give more to your customer. All right, guys, let me jump back here and stop share. Okay, and we got a lot of questions. Okay, Brian asks, on inspections, do I do full inspection or do I do partial inspections? So Brian, generally they won't want to inspect every single unit. They'll do every 5th unit, and that's fine. It is you will get companies that can do every single unit, but at higher cost. So if you're doing inspections, I think every 3rd or every 5th unit is enough. That's going to catch out and a lot of units and give you a good ratio as to how much of that full order is actually a problem and how much is good. Yes, this is a really cool question. So C. Lawrence asks, is it okay to ask established customers to beta test a potential product? It would not be a review because it's not for sale yet. I love it. I think that's an excellent way to do this. And it's just going to increase that customer's loyalty towards you. Even better, you could also reach out to influencers or, for example, a YouTube channel in your niche and send them a certain product to beta test. That could even get more brand awareness. But I love this idea. And Alexander asks, Dan, what price range and weight do you recommend at the moment? So, Alexander, I like around $25 and above. I think 30 and above is excellent if you can get there. Remember, it also depends on your initial capital because, for example, a $35 product is probably going to have a landed cost of at least $10 a unit. So if you're doing 500 times 10, that's $5,000 on a 500 unit order. So it does depend on your capital, but over 25 is great. And then on weight, I think up to the 2 pound range is your most profitable. So if you can have a product, and I'm talking US there, but if you can have a product that sells, around $30 and is under the 2 pound range, that can be a great area to be in. Yes. So Karim asks, hi Dan, can you please give us a little explanation of Builderall that you shared on Facebook? Is it the same as Hootsuite or Loomly or Sprout Central, or is Builderall better than all of them? So Hootsuite and Loomly, and these are social media platforms that that's what they focus on, and they can help you actually manage even virtual assistants on handling your brand's social media accounts and when to post. And you can use them yourself as well and schedule out posts for, say, Instagram or Facebook using Hootsuite or one of these. Builderall is really different because Builderall is almost an alternative to ClickFunnels in one way that you can build out funnels. So you could build a funnel for your first product and upsell to the second product and so on. Also very effective with Facebook ads. It also does all your email marketing. So if you use something like Aweber or MailChimp or ConvertKit, Builderall also has a feature that does that. It also has a type of Canva feature. If any of you use Canva or edit or design templates or tech specs and that type of thing, infographics, it has a section for doing that. It also has a section on chatbots and Facebook pixels. So it's very diverse. It seems like a very good tool. As I said on Facebook, I haven't fully vetted that product yet. I haven't fully tested it, so I cannot give a full recommendation on it. But the reason I'm was sharing it is because it's $29 a month. But if you think about it, you're paying $29 a month for like these 7 tools that one tool includes. So if you find that its functionality suits your needs on all of those 7, and you can remove those 7 and pay that 129 a month, I think you're going to save a lot on your operating costs, which is awesome. So that's why I wanted to share it. You guys can check that out, Builderall. I'm not affiliated or anything like that. They do have a big affiliate program, but the features look very good. So you can check that out if you like it. It might be of value to you. Yes. Sorry, I'm just reading this. Okay. So Dominic, you're asking about a business bank account. And Dominic is actually setting up an Estonia LLC, which is really cool. Okay. So you want to avoid online solutions with that. Okay. And you want to keep the company's bank account in the same country as where that company is established. Yes. So you can definitely do this, Dominic. If you can open an account with them, I believe you do have to fly to Estonia, but that may well be worth doing, especially if you're hearing, well, if you're up in Europe, that's great. That shouldn't be too expensive to do. If it is possible to do, I agree. I think that can be a very good thing. If you do a business bank account there, I would try have a USD receiving account with that bank if possible as well. In the very worst case, you can bolt on Payoneer or something for USD online accounts, which you pull into your Estonia business bank account. But sounds awesome, and good job on that. And let's see here. Tyler says, I have an idea I am trying to manufacture that will lower the FBA fees on an item by $15. And I plan on lowering the price of the item, which everyone says is overpriced. Any experienced with this? So, okay. So Tyler, this sounds great. It could be a great opportunity at the, premium price is a great market to look to because everyone's moving down. But profit margin is percentage as well. So if you can lower this product's price, um, and make it, the one that all those customers choose at the right level, but your manufacturing cost is way lower, then this could be an excellent opportunity. So I would definitely look at it. Don't discount it just because it isn't only premium. I like it. And Christian asks, what is your opinion on Zon pages? So, Christian, I don't actually use this one myself. I've seen some work done on it, and I think it does look cool. I actually liked some of their landing pages. So, it could be a really good tool to look into as well. I just think that Builderall is a very comprehensive sum of different tools. So that's something to look into as well. Okay, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining, and I hope you got value in this session. I know it was a bit of different topics here and there, but I just wanted to finish out with a couple of the tips and strategies from the past few years of these Tuesday webinars. And I think you're going to love the structure from next week. Really excited for that. But anyway, check out the tools that you did learn about today. And I hope you guys are having an excellent week so far. And I will see you in the Facebook group. Have an awesome week, guys.